Hi everyone, Mr. Benjamin here, and today we'll be learning how to identify redox reactions in terms of electrons gain or electrons loss. So, we have already learned SHOE, right? And for oxidation, plus, minus, plus, minus. So oxidation is the increase in oxidation state, is the loss of hydrogen, the gain of oxygen, and last one, the loss of electrons. So a substance goes through oxidation when it loses electrons, right? And a substance goes through reduction when it gains electrons. Now, these two definitions are exceptionally important because this is actually the true definition of what reduction and oxidation is. Oxidation state, hydrogen and oxygen, is just a way for us to determine whether it's reduction or oxidation, but whether it gains or loses electrons, that's the true definition of whether it is a reduction or oxidation reaction. So this definition is very, very important, right? And therefore, we have our own mnemonic for this, and we call it oil rig. Oil rig is something that you use it very, very often, and you hear me say it very, very often. Oil rig stands for oxidation is loss, or oxidation is lose, and lose what? Lose electrons. And rig stands for reduction is gain electrons. So oxidation is lose electrons, and reduction is gain electrons. Therefore, oil rig. Okay, remember this is going to be very, very useful. So let's look at one example first. Okay, so over here we got magnesium solid reacting with the chlorine gas to form magnesium chloride solid. Okay, so what happens is that this magnesium solid would actually react to form my magnesium ions, okay, in the product. All right, so in order for this, you can see that on the left side it's Mg and then there's no charge here, and on the right side there's an Mg2 plus, right? And it is not balanced. On the left side I got no charge, on the right side I got two positive charge. So in order to balance this, I need to add in electrons. Electrons are negative charge, so I'll add it on my right side to push it down. I add one electron, the 2 plus become a 1 plus overall, right? So not enough, I need to add one more electron, so therefore I add 2 electrons over here. So we can see that the magnesium, right, in magnesium actually loses the electron. You see, it loses, right? The electrons give away. So oil rig, O-I-L-R-I-G, right, oil rig, so lose electron is oxidation. So what happens is that magnesium in magnesium metal is oxidized. Okay, it is oxidized. Now, it is oxidized, why? Because it loses electrons. So loses electrons. Now, so magnesium in magnesium metal, right, loses electrons and is oxidized to form magnesium ion in magnesium chloride. So this is okay, right? But in order to make sure that you get your full marks, right, you need to tell me the number of electrons. So because I went from 0 to a plus 2, therefore it's 2 electrons. So it loses 2 electrons. Okay, and I would like to teach you a simple trick. You will just write over here 2 electrons each. Use the word each and it will always be correct. Okay, so now let Mr. Benjamin teach you a simpler method to write this. This is a very important explanation, always will come out. So let me teach you a simpler way to write this. So magnesium is an element, so that's a 0. So you will use oxidation states. Chlorine is an element, so it is also 0. And then chlorine we know is -1, and we know magnesium is a +2. Okay, so we can already see that chlorine, it goes from a 0 to a -1. So it decreases oxidation state. So decreased oxidation state we know is a reduction. So we over here say it is reduced. Okay, it is reduced. And then after using oxidation state, because it's easier to determine, I use my oil rig. So oil rig say oxidation is loss, reduction is gain. I've determined using oxidation state that is reduced. So that means chlorine would have to gain the electron. So chlorine in chlorine gas gain electron. But remember what I told you, we need the number, and we can sort of put in a cheat code. We can say each. So how many electrons should I write? So you can see that this is 0 and this is -1. How do I go from 0 to -1? To go from 0 to -1, I need to gain 1 electron. However, this is not fully correct. You need to add in the word each for this to be correct. So the chlorine atom in the chlorine gas gain 1 electron each and is reduced to form chloride ion in magnesium chloride. So let us write the half equation to check whether this is true. So I got my chlorine gas, and then it forms 2 chloride ions, and my right side is negative charge, my left side is positive, neutral charge, so I add 2 electrons. Then you might say, hey, Mr. Benjamin, this is not correct. You tell me gain 1 electron, but here is 2 electrons. That is why this word each is very important. Because the chlorine in chlorine gas, there are 2 chlorine in chlorine gas, they gain 2 electrons in total, but they only gain 1 electron each. Okay, so I'd just like to summarize that using oil rig, you can remember that oxidation is lose electrons, reduction is gain electrons. When they ask you to explain, use oxidation state to first determine whether oxidized or reduced, and use the oxidation state to determine whether how many electrons is gained or lost. And always remember to add in the word each in your answer. Okay? All the best, and we will practice more in the next video.